What's going on, everybody? It's Coach Johnny with ProTrain. Today I'm going to talk to you about the difference between linear speed and multi-directional speed and why your coach is programming multi-directional speed way too much. Now, I am a firm believer that linear speed trumps every other movement track related as far as speed is concerned. I think that the answer to anything to get faster another position is to go on a straight line. Now, when you're looking at multi-directional speed, you're looking at a back pedal, a shuffle, a crossover, and that's really it, and bounding and skipping, but those qualities are subsequent to being able to move in a straight line better. I will take the athlete that has great acceleration mechanics, can rise rhythmically over time, has good posture, position, and power over an athlete that's really good at reacting to made up fucking drills that your coach does. And that's what multi-directional speed is to me. It's not that there's not a place for it. It's not that we can't program for it. It's just there's just only it's like this. When you are in the weight room, you have your three main lifts. The deadlift, the squat, and the bench. And then you have all your accessory little movements that are going to make those lifts better. But in reality, most people show the accessory movements as the better movements. And it's not that they're better or worse, it's just those aren't main lifts and they're not the driving force in your foundation. And I'm not even saying that a bench, a squat, and a deadlift is a foundational. These are just examples. But when you have linear speed and multi-directional speed, a sprint is always going to be the main movement in sport, acceleration. So shuffling, backpedaling, crossovers, these things are accessory movements that naturally, if you are linear speed proficient, if you have good posture, position, power, you can rise rhythmically over time, you're naturally going to be able to shuffle better. You're naturally gonna. I've never had an athlete that's really fast, that has great acceleration, great max velocity, that is a terrible fucking shuffler. Or those are things that we don't work on. We don't really have to work on as much. They're crossover steps. They're those things I've never seen an athlete with great linear speed that really sucks and is really detrained and they're just naturally better at multi-directional speed because they have reinforced single leg strength. They have good core pillar development. And really, it's multi-directional speed is just a cop out. It's really it's accessory. It's such an accessory movement. Now, when you're talking about the way ProTrain does multi-directional speed, it's totally different. When you're going lateral bounding and resisted shuffles and resisted side push-offs and sled drags, these are movements that are going to have what we call special strength and carryover because there's a force production component. And this is what I truly believe and I see transfer. I've been doing this for 10 years. And everything that we do that transfers for movement in sport for training has to have a power component to it. So when your multi-directional work has no plyometrics in it, when it doesn't have anything catered towards force or velocity, I would say throw that shit out of your program, because, you know, the naysayers and the people that really love multi-directional speed are going to be like, it's good for your shin angles, and it's good for your, you know, your feet, and it's good for, you know, your reactive, you know, stimuli, and it does have that effect. But when I'm looking at an athlete and I'm looking at team sport athletes, I'm looking at what is the missing link, because what multi-directional speed really turns into is trying to be mimic agility. And I'm not bashing on multi-directional speed. Like I said, if you're doing a power component with multi-directional speed, it has great value because you're in a different plane of motion and you're getting a power dominant effect in that plane of motion. That's totally different than what you see on Instagram, and you see like these cone drills that are going back, side, back. Like, these are wasted movements. They're getting the athletes to be wasting time. Like, an athlete has, from middle school to high school, has got roughly 5 years to really become a foundational athlete, to move on to the next step. And if you're wasting your time with accessory movements all the time, you're gonna not get any better. There's no separation, because it doesn't transfer enough to where you want to focus on that all the time. And that's what you see with these untrained speed and agility coaches. All they're doing is wasting time and movement and energy. They're putting too much of an, you know, an aerobic training. It just turns into cardio at the end of the day with these athletes, and they don't need fucking cardio, especially at the middle school and the high school level. Their lung capacity, their ability, their VO2, like, we're never worried about VO2s in high school, especially not with fucking team sport acceleration sports. We're worried about their power development. We're worried about their ability to get to point A and point B as fast as possible. And I don't like to speak in absolutes, but generally every athlete can benefit from getting to A to B a lot better than accessory, shuffle, side to side, crossover, backpedaling movements. These movements are just reinforcements of acceleration and linear speed anyway. So the only way I do multi-directional speed is train it into a power, plyometric, change of direction movement plane of motion. That's it. And it's not, you know, oh, we're going to react to this cone, because the only way to truly get more agile in sport is to play the fucking sport. Okay, that's what they don't tell you. Like, yes, okay, I'm not gonna have the ability to mimic that sport very well with those cones. Those cones are always gonna stay there. They're always gonna be in that position. The athlete is gonna be eventually able to guess when the tennis ball is coming out of the coach's hands, when like, I see all these drills and it's just like, it's so predetermined. It has zero transfer, and it's a waste of a fucking hour. So when I look at linear speed and I look at athletes, if they have good posture, position, power, and they can rise rhythmically over time, I'm taking that athlete over the athlete that is good at game drills, that good at like shuffling and doing what the coach says. Because those drills can always easily be memorized and perfected just from repetition. Now, a 4-4 cannot be memorized. A 38-inch vertical cannot be memorized. A 10-8 broad jump cannot be memorized. These are things we have to plan, periodize for, and develop. Development is the key to athletes, and I see that multi-directional speed can only be developed by having a power component and a different change of direction plane of motion. And that is where you're going to see the carryover from multi-directional speed. And it's a reinforcement of linear speed. So linear speed is, no matter what they say, if you track ready, you always going to have the advantage over any other athlete.